You know the United States of America. Now picture something similar but for a whole continent, the United States of Africa. It's not about erasing differences or one country taking over, it's more like a super team, each country bringing its own strengths. Nigeria's economy, Kenya's tech, Ethiopia's history, South Africa's energy. The dream? African nations working so closely together that they function as one powerful entity. That means open borders for people and goods and a single strong voice on the world stage. Imagine ordering pizza for a group. One person calls, everyone gets what they want, and the deal is better. That's the idea, Africa as one, negotiating for over 1 billion people. This isn't a new idea. It's a vision passed down for generations, a response to borders drawn by outsiders that split communities and families. The United States of Africa is about Africans shaping their own future, not following old colonial lines. Picture a coalition where a Ghanaian farmer sells cocoa to Egypt, a Senegalese student studies in Tanzania, and African problems get African solutions. It's ambitious, like getting your whole family to agree on a TV show. But imagine what could be built if everyone worked together. It's not a faceless blob, it's a vibrant, diverse, and powerful partnership. The goal: make life better for everyone, from Cape Town to Cairo. And yes, there will be debates about jollof rice, but that's part of the fun. To understand why unity matters, let's rewind to the mid-20th century, when African countries gained independence. The celebrations were huge, but the new nations inherited messy borders and systems designed by outsiders. Imagine your house split from your backyard, lumped with a neighbor you barely know. That's what colonial borders did to Africa. Ethnic groups were divided, rivals forced together, fueling tension and conflict. Early leaders realized that as small, separate countries, Africa would be easy to push around globally. Enter Pan-Africanism, the idea that all people of African descent share a destiny and should unite. Visionaries like Kwame Nkrumah, Julius Nyerere, and Gamal Abdel Nasser argued that true independence required economic and political unity. Nkrumah said, "The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent." Unity wasn't just a dream, it was a survival strategy. The old colonial tactic was divide and conquer. The answer was unite and build. A fragmented Africa would always be at a disadvantage, but a united one could set its own terms. The dream started as a shield, but could become a powerful engine for progress. That's why unity became a big deal. Let's talk money. Unity isn't just about good vibes, it's about putting food on the table. Right now, Africa's like a mall where every store has its own entrance and security. It's easier for Nigeria to trade with China than with Benin next door. A united Africa would mean a single market, a free trade zone from Cape Town to Cairo. The African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, is a big first step, letting goods, services, and money flow freely. Imagine a Rwandan startup hiring Ghanaian developers and getting South African investment, all in one massive market of 1.4 billion people. Bigger companies, more jobs, and global competitiveness would follow. Infrastructure would finally connect the continent. Railways, power grids, internet cables built together, not in isolation. Pooling resources attracts bigger investment. One big project beats 10 small ones. Negotiating as a bloc means better trade deals. Africa could finally demand fair terms for its resources. Instead of being exploited, profits could develop the continent for its own people. Economic unity means more power, more opportunity, and a better future for everyone. That's the superpower waiting to happen. Conflict has long haunted Africa. Civil wars, border disputes, and unrest rooted in colonial borders. A united Africa could change that with a Continental Security Council, think Neighborhood Watch, but for 1 billion people. When trouble brews, Africa steps in early with peacekeepers and mediators, not outsiders with one-size-fits-all solutions. The African Union's Peace and Security Council is a start, but deeper unity would give it real power. Economic ties also make peace profitable. When your neighbor is your biggest customer, you don't throw rocks at their house. Open borders and shared prosperity create interdependence, making conflict less likely. Young people with jobs are less likely to join militias. Stability becomes the most valuable commodity. A united military force could respond rapidly to crises, from terrorism to natural disasters, without waiting for outside help. It would deter interference and show the world Africa can handle its own security. The message, Africa's days as a playground for other people's conflicts, are over. Peace and unity go hand in hand. That's how Africa takes ownership of its future. Africa's greatest export isn't oil or diamonds, it's people, especially brilliant minds. For decades, brain drain has sent Africa's best and brightest abroad, often never to return. A united Africa could reverse this, turning brain drain into brain gain. Imagine a network of world-class African universities, each specializing in different fields, with students moving freely across borders. Pooling resources would fund research and innovation at a scale no single country could match. Knowledge sharing would flourish. Egyptian surgeons training doctors in Malawi, South African entrepreneurs mentoring Ethiopians. Unity would break down silos, letting skills and expertise flow where needed most. The youth, Africa's majority, would see a future as bright at home as anywhere else. The next Einstein or Steve Jobs could change the world from Lagos, Nairobi, or Accra. By uniting for education, Africa builds the foundation for a century of innovation. The future belongs to smarter generations right here. In global affairs, Africa's voice has often been drowned out. 54 separate nations are easy to ignore or play against each other. But as one unified bloc, representing 1.4 billion people, Africa becomes impossible to overlook. On issues like climate change, a united Africa can demand real action and fair compensation from the world's biggest polluters. It can push for reforms in global institutions and champion a fairer financial system. Africa would shape the global conversation, not just react to it. This isn't just about politics, it's about culture and identity. Imagine the global impact of Nollywood, Afrobeats, and African fashion, amplified by unity. A united continent can invest in creative industries, protect its stories, and challenge old stereotypes. Africa would show the world its true, vibrant self-innovators, artists, leaders. When Africa speaks with one voice, it's not just louder, it's clearer, richer, and impossible to ignore. That's the power of unity on the world stage. The dream of a united Africa is inspiring, but the road is rough, full of political, cultural, and practical challenges. The biggest hurdle? Power. Convincing 54 leaders to share authority is tough. Giving up sovereignty feels risky. The key is showing that unity empowers nations, not erases them. Africa's diversity, over 2,000 languages, hundreds of ethnic groups, is a strength, but also a challenge for making policies that fit everyone. Economic differences are huge giants like Nigeria and South Africa alongside some of the world's poorest nations. How do you create a fair system where big economies don't dominate smaller ones? Then there's logistics. A single currency, harmonized laws, and shared infrastructure are massive undertakings. Europe tried the euro and it's had its drama. Africa would face even bigger hurdles. These challenges require political will, money, and decades of hard work. The dream is beautiful, but execution is the real test. Overcoming these hurdles will define Africa's commitment to unity. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but every step forward matters. The United States of Africa idea stands on the shoulders of giants, visionary leaders who saw the continent's potential. Ghana's Kwame Nkrumah was the ultimate Pan-Africanist, fighting for unity as the real prize. He believed independence was just the first step. True power came from a united Africa. Julius Nyerere of Tanzania took a gradual approach, building regional blocks as stepping stones. He even merged Tanganyika and Zanzibar to form Tanzania, a real example of unity. Decades later, Libya's Muammar Gaddafi became the loudest voice for a fully integrated African government, pushing for a single army, currency, and passport. His methods were controversial, but he kept the dream alive. These leaders started organizations like the Organization of African Unity, now the African Union. They planted the seeds and laid the groundwork for today's aspirations. Their legacy unity isn't a new idea, but a long-held dream rooted in Africa's history. The torch is now in the hands of a new generation. So where does this leave us? The United States of Africa is a big, ambitious idea, full of promise and challenge. The world is changing fast: pandemics, climate crisis, economic shifts. No country can go it alone. The future is a team sport. Africa can compete for scraps or unite to build a bigger table. The spirit of unity is already alive, in music, business, and the hearts of young Africans connected by technology. The dream isn't just for politicians, it's a cultural and social reality growing from the ground up. The United States of Africa is a declaration of hope, a promise that Africa's best days are ahead. It's about drawing a new map, defined by collaboration and shared destiny. The journey will be long, but the destination, a united, thriving Africa, is worth it. Together, there's nothing this continent can't achieve. The next generation deserves a strong, peaceful, and prosperous Africa. The dream is alive, and it's worth fighting for, because the future belongs to those who build it together.